God help me. Joining me tonight on Fat Q, on my left are Ruth Bratt and Paul Foot, and on my right are Iain Lee and Matt Blaze.
That's good.
If you enjoy spitting at car park attendants, your fun is about to come to a sticky end. NCP parking staff finish each working day so drenched in angry spit that they've been issued with saliva collecting kits. These spit kits gather DNA which can identify the spitter. Now the only tactic left for the would-be spitter is to lick someone else's phlegm off the parking attendant's lapel and re-spit it at them. Or throw a dog shit. The choice is yours. So my frequently asked question is this: what's wrong with spitting at parking attendants? Iain?
Oh, listen, some parking attendants, I think they do, I genuinely mean this, I think they do a decent job. If you get a parking ticket, you've parked somewhere you should not have parked. You deserve to get it. So what, the person that's giving you the ticket is an annoying wanker. But it doesn't matter. They're doing their job. And I think some of them are darn good looking as well.
Are you sponsored or something? by some consortium of clampers?
Do you want to know? Hey, clampers?
Everyone knows we're allowed to park wherever we are,
No,
really.
listen.
That's the human spirit. Stick the car where you want. I'm a free man with an engine and a wheel, and I want to stop and buy a sandwich. And this is convenient. And the people behind me are arseholes. And they're behind me for a reason, because they're worse than me and they can wait. So, you know...
What I don't understand is why they need a spit kit, because surely the best way of identifying the person whose car you've just put a ticket on is the registration number.
What do you think about spitting on traffic wardens, Matt?
Maybe if we swallowed instead of spat, we'd let off the fines. I don't know.
But definitely, it's not a crime to swallow a traffic warden. Walk up to him and go...
It's just a slightly British gesture, isn't it? Well, I don't think it's right. I was only over there, over the yellow line slightly.
Yeah. I'm not going to swear. I'm not going to say anything. I'm going to walk back to my car, and I will pay my fine.
I'll just slightly undulate my uvula here. I've made my protest.
You haven't got a uvula, you're a man. Carry on, David.
Your knowledge of anatomy is woefully poor. Can I say, in reply to the original question, why is it wrong to spit at traffic wardens? I think it's wrong for the same reason it's wrong to spit at anyone.
Yeah.
It's basically just disrespectful to them and to yourself, ultimately, and it's a far more effective method is to follow them home and then stand outside their French windows holding a hoe.
The most threatening of all garden tools.
In fact, actually, I wouldn't hold the hoe myself. I'd be...
Have a hoe holder.
Have a hoe holder. I would just hold the hoe holder, hold the hoe holder, but not in a sexual way. Just my arm just round the elbow of the hoe.
It's like having the Rain Man in here. What the hell is going on?
Luckily, I had finished the end of my thing. Your interruption caused me no bother.
Saved you. I clawed it back for you.
No, it did not claw it back for me, as I was preparing to finish my thing anyway, and then end it with a winning smile.
And that is the winning smile in our smile competition.
This one got nowhere.
What? All the entries were from Paul Foot. Now, I like to think of myself as a fairly broad-minded sort of chap, but if there's one thing I can't tolerate, it's the French. And it turns out I'm not alone. 2 Parisian academics have conducted a survey amongst their European neighbours to find out what adjectives people would use to describe the French. And their findings: everyone in Europe hates their guts. Who'd have guessed? The Spanish say the French are unfriendly, vain and rude, and the Swedes reckon they're immoral, disorganised and dirty. But are we being too hard on those lazy garlic munching gits? And where do the Spanish get off calling anyone vain? Bunch of preening, paella-eating donkey touchers. So, my frequently asked question is this. If we all hate each other, is it a good thing being part of Europe? Matt?
This sort of like hostility leads to war. I mean, that's what happened. That's how the Second World War happened, isn't it? You know, it starts
hostility?
Yes.
Yeah, leading to war.
Are you going to repeat back everything I say to you?
It's not how the Second World War happened. It's the Second World War happened. But what I'm saying is that it's not a question of war. We're not going to have a war against France at the moment. But you know,
that's what we said in 1939, darling, and then it all kicked off. Yeah,
that's right. We invaded France.
It wasn't. I think it was right. Most historians agree.
He's trying.
No. This is what
We didn't fight France.
We're
on their side.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're well.
Briefly until they fucking gave up. But we're all supposed to be part of this big gang. Maybe we'll be a big country all together one day, and we'll all just be counties of it. But is that a good idea? Will we all get richer doing that, having the same currency? But A, that will make it good. A, so I'm disorganised thinking, and B, is it that we hate each other's guts so much we'll never make it work?
I'm saying this hate leads to hostility, which leads to war. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Well, yes, I understand that. What I'm saying is...
And that could lead us to invade France once again.
So we didn't invade France. I know we didn't invade France, right? Hitler invaded France. I know that. Yeah.
Oh, right.
But it starts off with guys like you making sloppy comments about the French, and then we invade them. See?
So you're saying we should be in the European Union in order to, because that's the way that people like me can't start the hostility, and it can't lead to war, and it will stop war.
Exactly.
That's a very coherent argument.
Are you a Nazi?
No, I'm not a Nazi.
Just wonder why you... I just wondered. I'm just curious.
Well, if I was a Nazi?
Yeah.
Because
I've got some leaflets you might be interested in.
I can satisfy your curiosity.
Well, there we go.
I'm not a Nazi.
Just because someone's not massively left-wing and slightly bitter does not mean that they are a Nazi.
I'm not bitter. And the fact that he takes issue with everything I say, straight away Iain latched onto that. Yeah.
Matt's taken issue with a lot of what Iain said.
Yeah, anyway, defending me,
Yeah. Okay,
I'm starting to distance myself slightly from you. You're a little bit thicker than I thought. Sorry.
What do you think about Europe, Ruth?
Well, I sort of think it's a geographical inevitability, really, that we're
That's what I
part
said.
of Europe.
That's what I said. I got nothing.
Yeah, but I use more syllables.
I learnt French at school. I've never been to France to try it out, but so long as I only hang around people who are holding out pens saying "Qu'est-ce que c'est?" I should get along fine. C'est un stylo, monsieur. What a wonderful language. This brings us to the FAQ you countdown of questions to ask yourself if you think you might be French. In at number 5, when you see a beautiful woman, do you think, if only she were hairy? At number 4, if you're sitting on a beautiful atoll, do you think, this would be a lovely place to explode a nuclear test device? At number 3, when your wife asks if you have a mistress, do you reply, but of course? At number 2, have you ever tried a cheese and thought, not bad, but it would be better as a stinking liquid? And the number 1 question to ask yourself if you think you might be French is, you've just made a pop record, is it shit? That's it for part 1. In part 2, it's hula time. Panellists, you'll find your grass skirts and coconut boobies under your seats. See you after the break. Aloha! Welcome back to Fact You. On tonight's show, we have Ruth Bratt, Paul Foote, Iain Lee and Matt Blaze. I'm David Mitchell, and if the scientists who built me could see me here, I think they'd be justifiably proud. I was really only designed for menial tasks like fetching and carrying and making hot drinks. But look at me now. Professor Martin Shapiro, I salute you. Now, a new invention was unveiled this week by Brunel University. It's a gadget that goes in your kids' shoes to find out how many steps they've taken that day. The device is linked to your television, which will only work if the child has done enough exercise. 100 steps earns a minute of TV time. It's hoped the invention will help reduce child obesity. And by treating the children like mindless Pavlovian lab rats, it will strip away the last shreds of their already tattered self-esteem, leaving them broken and weeping and hugging their fat selves on the living room floor. Good work, Brunel University. Job well done. So, my frequently asked question is, how would you get fat people to exercise? Paul?
One method would be motorised cakes. Cakes with a motor on it, you see. So when a fat person goes to get the cake, because it's radio controlled, and thin people operate the cake, so people go away and they have to chase it. Another way would be to you know, like when there's the hunting of the foxes. Well, they don't do it anymore, but they used to, and they give the scent to the hound. Well, you do a similar thing with a fat person. You give them a scent of maybe like chocolate and biscuits, and then you'd have a trail of the scent all going all over an obstacle course, all over it.
I'm thinking on the same lines. I'm thinking mazes, like lab rats, you know, and you have a maze and you have the food in the middle and they have to go round it. That or cattle prods. And then at the end, when they found the food, you inject shampoo into their eyes to see if it's dangerous.
Another method, I've just thought of another method, would be is to have treadmills at the queues at takeaway sort of fast food outlets. So when they're queuing up, the treadmill's going back and they keep walking along. Or another thing would be in the supermarket, to have, when you have cakes and fattening things like Battenberg and cakes and things like that, you have it very high up, but in order to reach it, they have to go on trampolines and jump up, get a cake, got a bit of chocolate.
But surely we should get them to reform their attitudes to food and eat salad and generally get a grip, shouldn't we?
I think they just need to exercise more, because you're only fat if you don't exercise off the amount of food you eat. That's all it is. Fat people are just fat because then they're eating too much and they're not exercising enough.
Walk more, eat less, you fat fuck.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. That's the campaign the government needs to bring out, and it'll work.
Yeah.
Simple. They'll be watching that at home, crying into their food, and they'll think, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do that.
What they could do to make sure that it's working is, you know, there's that game called Buckaroo when you have to put all the things on the horse and it bucks. If they made all chairs like that, or benches or anything, so if you sat down and you were too heavy, it will buck, you see.
I find a really good thing if you want to, you know, not eat too much, is I did this at home. I put a picture of a really fat person on the fridge, and underneath it I wrote, "Do you want to look like this?"
Well, and that's really fat people
going,
could just put a mirror on their face.
Yeah. Do you really want to look like this?
Oh, you do look like this. Feeling peckish.
Fatty.
Have a cake, it'll all go away. Eat till you burst, you poor failure. I think people have got a right to eat and eat and eat until they burst. We're all worried about obesity, but, you know, there's loads of food everywhere. Food's lovely. People are finding other outlets for their interest. They're not thinking of their careers. We obsess about our careers. We obsess about our relationships. We obsess about getting married and all this and doing well and having lovely houses. Well, there are some people who are saying, I'm not going to obsess about those things. I'm going to obsess about one thing, cake. I'm going to direct all my energies into eating and eating and eating. That's one thing I know I like. I'm focused. I'm more focused than the rest of society put together. The thin people, they're crazy, worried bastards.
Well, tell
me.
that fat bastard not to sit next to me on a bus or on a plane then, because I'm all cramped up like this. Stop eating pies. No. Give a bit of space to the skinny people in the world. You know, there are people standing up for skinny people's rights, saying, oh, you know, they should have special rights and have vouchers in a shop to get a thing and do that with the cup. And you should. I lost it a bit towards the end. It started off well.
To be fair, you don't get people standing up for fat people's rights, except for me.
Because they can't.
Except for me, perversely now.
You sound like the old man from the Werther's original ad. I've just realised.
Yeah. Well, there's a secret behind that.
Oh, Christ.
I stole his throat.
And then used it in order to eat more cakes.
Yeah, but no, I think the people who are... It is bad when you get someone who's sort of, flowing over 4 or 5 seats. And that's very selfish. But in fact, those obese people aren't as single-minded as the people I was praising, who wouldn't step out of the house at all. They've got a phone, a telly and a loo, and they're living the dream. And all you want to do is you want to see them running after cakes on wheels. Well, that's cruel. It would be amazingly good spectator sport, wouldn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we'll all end up like George IV. We don't want that.
Yeah. George IV was a real arsehole, actually.
You two are so posh. What the fuck are you talking about?
Oh yes, we're so posh. We happen to know about some history from the 19th century. How posh!
Well, yeah, that's very
Apparently,
posh.
it's posh to know about. He was king. He was quite famous.
He was
It's a good job.
George IV. He was a king like 100, 200, 500 years ago or something. Was he Queen Elizabeth's husband?
If I told you he was the current king, would you believe me?
I might do, yeah.
He's the current king.
Oh, well, fair enough then. It's important that kids know about this sort of stuff.
So, are you sitting there with your third TV dinner on your fat lap, wondering if you might be a bit of a porker? Well, if so, here's the Fat Q countdown of questions you should ask yourself if you think you might be obese. In at number 5, in order to see your genitals, do you have to set up a system of mirrors? At number 4, do those 15 steps to the fridge leave you wheezing like a stuck pig? At number 3, at the beach, are you pestered by environmentalists trying to roll you back into the sea? At number 2, does your doctor refer to your back as the north side? And the number 1 question you should ask yourself if you think you might be obese is, do you talk a load of shit about your glands? Now, Wayne Rooney's fiancée, Colleen McLaughlin, has been speaking about her love of fur boots. Rabbits get killed for food, so why waste the skins, she said. But is it okay to kill dumb animals for their skins? And if so, would Colleen object if someone skinned Wayne and made a lovely A-line skirt out of his neck? So my frequently asked question is, what's wrong with wearing fur? Matt?
I'm against people wearing fur.
Yeah, but you're pro-animal testing?
Yeah.
For medicine?
Yes.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah.
See, I don't.
Right.
I don't. I'm anti-fur. I'm anti-animal testing. I think if we want drugs to be used on us, if we want to, promote drugs or not promote drugs, if we want to test drugs, then we should test them on ourselves. We're the ones using them. Don't bring the animals into it. What have they ever done? Yes, absolutely. You can test.
Rubbish,
no, it's not rubbish. You can test cosmetics on human skin and you can test it on human fingernails. You can test drugs on humans. You do not. And anyway, when they tested AIDS drugs on monkeys, I have. When they tested. They worked out what they did to monkeys. It doesn't work the same on humans because we're not the same.
But we know that now because we tested it on the monkey. It's a process of elimination. That's right. Wait, hang on, he's just stolen your water.
I thought he was climbing over the table to...
Yeah, it's gin. It's straight gin.
He's nicked your water. I don't know, that's like a complete breach of etiquette.
I took that out of a sailor's hip flask.
Yeah. Now, no, but the thing is, though, you can't. If you test, I don't believe in testing cosmetics at all because
No, it's wrong.
Yeah. And also we've tested enough. We know what we tested lipstick on animals. You don't need to keep testing. That's cruel. Does lipstick still not hurt rabbits? Or
some of those chimpanzees though with a bit of lipstick on?
Yeah. Well,
come on.
Yeah. I'm not saying animals shouldn't be made up to make them look sexy, but that's different. That's animals using cosmetics, not testing them on them. But medical testing, if I genuinely... What if a person died? You're testing things on the... It's much, infinitely worse if a person died testing a drug than if a mouse died.
But the person died doing something for humanity, and if we...
So did the mouse, and a person didn't die. Only a mouse has died.
The mouse didn't ask to have that done to it.
Mice can't ask
please do
Test the
it.
drugs on prisoners, nonces, sex offenders, and members of the Bay City Rollers. That's who you do it on.
I do really think this. I think, we have this idea that animal life is worth less than our lives, and it's all...
I completely have that idea.
It's bollocks.
Why is it bollocks? Look at animals. They can't talk, they can't build cathedrals, they can't do TV shows unless they're sort of helped by Rolf Harris. they're crap compared to us. Now, Paul McCartney has spoken out against ill treatment of animals, and with good reason. If his wife was a racehorse, she'd have been shot. Now, sunbeds, toothpaste, farm salmon, crisps, pylons, food dyes. And now something else gives you cancer: living in the countryside. According to new research, using mobiles in the country could make people 4 times more likely to be diagnosed with a tumour. Ah, the countryside. It stinks, it's full of mad cows and incest, and it makes bad things grow in your skull. Still, at least everyone there isn't a gun-toting madman. So, if phone masts are so bad for our brains, wouldn't life be better without mobile phones? What do you think?
You're in the countryside, you can never get reception on a mobile
haven't got
phone,
masts.
but then how are they getting tumours from them?
There aren't many masts
Inbreeding.
there, so they all have to be cranked up to cancer. They're practically microwaving all the people within a 5-mile radius. You could actually cook a ready meal just by bringing it up and putting it in. I mean, the thing about mobile phones is they're brilliantly useful. They're like the one thing from Star Trek that's actually come true.
Oh, no,
We've got nice communicators.
But it's
and it
horrible.
really gets me cross when people are fascists about not being allowed to use them
that annoys
in
me.
places like trains. Trains are the most useful place to have a mobile phone, and you have people tutting, and you have to have these bloody quiet carriages. Now, and the only reason...
Yeah, who would sit in a quiet carriage on a train? She didn't want to sit with 2 people earlier today, Paul Foot.
It was me, because you were very unpleasant towards me.
Sorry, did you two have a row on the train down here that I didn't know about?
Matt and I went off to get a cup of tea. We were all sharing a table. We came back. He buggered off. We looked. Oh, he's in the quiet carriage, not saying anything and being all quiet and sensible and grown up and stuff.
Right.
You performed voodoo on me.
So you loved it.
I don't think this has any place in public debate.